Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're embarking on a genuinely mind-blowing journey. We're skipping the stars, leaving the surface behind, and heading straight down into the most extreme, hostile, and frankly alien places on Earth.
Think about it for a second. We build these towering skyscrapers, we climb Everest, we obsess over space travel. As a species, we're constantly, almost obsessively focused on what sits above us.
But what happens when we look down? Let's dive into that and explore the absolute deepest places human beings have ever physically reached. We're talking about environments where sunlight simply doesn't exist, where the temperatures will boil or freeze you, and where the pressure is completely unforgiving.
Section 1. The deepest ocean, the Challenger Deep.
Our very first extreme environment takes us to the Mariana Trench in the Western Pacific. 10,935. That staggering number in meters is the deepest known point on our entire planet. To put that in perspective, that's nearly 11 kilometers straight down into the pitch-black abyss.
To really wrap your head around that incredible scale, if you somehow plucked Mount Everest off land and dropped it right inside the trench, the very tip of the mountain's peak would still be sitting over 2 kilometers underwater. That's how unfathomably deep this section of the ocean really is.
The pressure down there, it's over 1,000 times what you feel up here at sea level. Literally the equivalent of an elephant standing directly on your thumbnail. Ouch, right? That's exactly why, back in 1960, the earliest explorers Jacques Piccard and Don Walsh needed a massive steel bathyscaphe, which is basically a heavy submarine crossed with a bathtub, just to survive a quick 20-minute visit.
When you trace the sparse history of human visits down there, it's wild. There was a massive 52-year gap between that first manned dive in 1960 and filmmaker James Cameron's historic solo trip in 2012. It really wasn't until Victor Vescovo's modern expeditions in 2019 that we actually started doing multiple, successive dives to those depths.
Section 2. The deepest caves, the Arabica Massif.
Trading ocean water for solid rock, we're heading to the Abkhazia region. 2,200. That is the staggering depth in meters these caves plunge into the earth. To conquer this, elite cavers are forced to navigate over 2 kilometers of grueling vertical shafts, just rappelling down one after another.
And guys, this isn't just a tough hike in the dark. These expeditions take days, sometimes weeks. Explorers drag heavy gear through impossibly tight rock gaps, and when they hit a sump, a totally flooded tunnel, they literally have to scuba dive blindly into freezing, pitch-black water just to keep moving downward.
But here is the craziest part. Despite the near-freezing temps, the permanent darkness, and the totally crushing humidity, life actually exists down there. 2 kilometers underground, scientists discovered spiders, pseudoscorpions, and this blind, wingless springtail insect, which currently holds the title for the deepest known land animal on Earth. Nature always finds a way, doesn't it?
Section 3. The deepest mine, Maponen Gold Mine.
Let's look at human endurance in a totally different context. This incredible feat of engineering reaches an astounding 4,000 meters underground. It takes thousands of workers over an hour, riding through this complex series of elevator cages, just to commute from the surface down to the working rock face.
To truly grasp the sheer magnitude of that depth, if you took the Burj Khalifa, the tallest building in the world, and stacked 9 of them end to end, you still wouldn't reach the bottom of this subterranean workplace.
The wild thing here is just how hostile this daily shift is. At 4,000 meters down, the Earth's mantle literally radiates 60 degrees Celsius heat, that's 140 Fahrenheit, right into the air. They rely on massive cooling systems just to keep workers alive. On top of that, the rock itself is under so much stress that it triggers dangerous mining-induced earthquakes. It is an absolutely brutal environment to work in day after day.
Section 4. The deepest hole, Kola Super Deep Borehole.
Moving up to a strangely deserted landscape in Arctic Russia, we reach an unbelievable 12,200 meters down. Soviet scientists spent nearly 2 decades drilling this hole. And get this, they didn't drill it for oil or gold or any resources at all. They did it purely out of scientific curiosity, just to see what they would find.
Well, what they pulled up completely shocked geologists. They didn't just find dirt. This dinner plate-wide hole yielded rock that was far hotter and more plastic-like than anyone predicted. They discovered microscopic fossils inside rocks that were over 2 billion years old. And most shockingly, they found liquid water trapped thousands of meters down in solid rock, exactly where science assumed none could possibly exist.
Section 5. The Final Frontier,
putting depth into perspective. As we zoom out to put these incredible depths into perspective, we can stack our journey side by side. It shows exactly how we've pushed our physical bodies from 2.2 kilometers down in freezing natural caves to 4 kilometers in sweltering mines to nearly 11 kilometers in pressurized ocean trenches, all the way down to a 12.2 kilometer scientific drill hole.
But here is where the math gets genuinely humbling. Despite all that massive effort, all the engineering, and the sheer human stubbornness, our absolute deepest 12.2-kilometer achievement has only scratched a minuscule 0.2% of the Earth's crust. 99.8% of the crust remains completely untouched, let alone the mantle or the core.
And this highlights a really profound irony about human exploration. We have successfully sent a dozen people to walk on a rock that is 384,000 kilometers away in the literal vacuum of space. Yet, the center of our own planet, just 6,400 kilometers away, is entirely out of reach. We literally know more about the surface of Mars than we do about the center of our own Earth.
So, as every single explorer of the extreme deep has eventually realized, this final frontier isn't some empty abyss. From deep-sea trenches to deep Earth rocks, it's absolutely teeming with ancient secrets. It leaves us with one incredibly exciting question. If we've only scratched 0.2% of the surface, what other fascinating mysteries are waiting right now just beneath your feet?